A very good evening. It is the Saturday's edition of Primetime News. We're coming to you live and direct this evening from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight, I'm Joel Outskun. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
Asgiri chapter says country is unstable. Motherland needs to be given priority. Legal experts claim the Prime Minister can be constitutionally removed. Gamnadar makes the dreams of Mathura students a reality.
Starting off the news in detail. Now, Registrar of the Asgiri chapter, Venerable Madagoda Dhammanandathero, convened a media briefing in Kandy today to comment on the current political situation of the country.
We see the country is still in an unstable state, although it has been a week since the local government elections took place. We should keep in mind former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who won the elections. The President and the Prime Minister should act for the betterment of the citizens, national security and the economy. We cannot stay quiet anymore. We have to reconsider the consequences of this unstable nature of this country. Everyone's attention should be focused on the negative impact of this situation on the country's economy. There is a huge political force in this country and a large number of people are involved in it. So our message is, they should always ensure they act in a way that will not affect our land and nationality. They should also work towards a better and secure future for this nation.
සුරක්ෂිත කිරීමට පියවර ගන්නවායි කියන අදිෂ්ඨානය ඇති කරගත යුතු. ඒකයි අපි මහා සංඝරත්නය හැටියට දින පණිවිඩය මේ අවස්ථාවේ.
Well, the Asgiri and Malwathu chapters both have spoken and shared their views on the current situation in the country. There is a lot of uncertainty about whether a new government would be formed, whether there would be a new Prime Minister, whether there will be a new cabinet of ministers. Well, for one person, things are not so uncertain, and that is Ranil Wickremesinghe, our Prime Minister. He came before the media yesterday and said constitutionally he will remain as the Prime Minister and he will continue his work. This is what he had to say yesterday.
අගමැතිතුමනි දැන් මේ වෙනකොට ජනාධිපතිවරයා විසින් මේ නීතිපතිවරයාගෙන් කරුණු විමසලා තියෙනවා කියලා වාර්තා වෙනවා අගමැතිවරයා ඉවත් කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන්. ඒ පිළිබඳව දැන් මොකද්ද ඔබතුමාගේ අදහස? ඔබතුමා තවදුරටත් මේ ආණ්ඩුව පවත්වාගෙන යා යුතුයි කියනවා.
වාර්තාවක් තිබුණා මම ආණ්ඩුව ගෙනියනවා කියන්නේ. කොහොමනා විදියට.
ජනාධිපතිවරයා මේ ආකාරයෙන් කටයුතු කරද්දිත් ඔබතුමා ආණ්ඩුව ගෙනියන්න සූදානම්.
මම ව්‍යවස්ථාව අනුව වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා.
So the question arises, can the President remove the Prime Minister from his position? This is a question that is being asked in many forums. So we asked our legal experts to give their opinion on this matter.
19th Amendment to the Constitution, the President of the Republic under Article 42(4) can appoint a person as the Prime Minister who has the majority power in the Parliament, who have got the majority of Parliament in supporting him. But under Article 43(2), the President, even without consulting, can change the composition of the cabinet, change the cabinet under 43(2) and 43(3). So therefore, there is nothing to prevent the President from removing or sacking all the ministers in the present cabinet. Moment that happens, the Prime Minister cannot function as he ceased to be the Prime Minister of this country. Then the President can, under Article 42(4), appoint another person as the Prime Minister of this country. So I believe there is no impediment for the President to take action to remove the Prime Minister. He must first remove the entire cabinet and the ministries. Thereafter, it's my view that the Prime Minister stands resigned as his cabinet has been removed by the President, and then the President can appoint another Prime Minister.
Following the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, there have been references made to the removal of the Prime Minister and his tenure. There are two important points that we need to look at. Article 46(2) reads, the Prime Minister shall continue to hold office throughout the period during which the Cabinet of Ministers continues to function under the provisions of the Constitution, unless the President dissolves Cabinet and appoints a new one, or if the Prime Minister's tenure in Cabinet ends. Article 46(1) reads, the total number of ministers of the Cabinet of Ministers shall not exceed 30. The only alternative is, at a time when the party that secures a majority in Parliament forms a government with another party, the limit of 30 Cabinet Ministers will not apply. If by any chance the UPFA, the SLFP MPs withdraw from the government, there will be no national government. If there is no national government, the tenure of this cabinet will have to be abolished. Therefore, the President shall be compelled to appoint a cabinet of ministers not exceeding 30. In such a situation, cabinet will be dissolved and the Prime Minister's tenure will end constitutionally. Thereafter, as per Article 42(4), the President shall appoint as Prime Minister the Member of Parliament who, in the President's opinion, is most likely to command the confidence of Parliament.
අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය හැටියට පත් කරන්නට අධිකාර ජනාධිපතිතුමාට බලතලීම වෙනවා 42(4) යටතේ 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය.
So the question whether the President can remove the Prime Minister from office is easily answered. All the President needs to do is call on the Supreme Court to give an interpretation of the Constitution with regard to these articles that were mentioned by the legal expert. The question is, how did we get to this point? How did Sri Lanka reach this level of political uncertainty after a local government election? Well, if you distill it down to one word, that word would be inaction. Inaction on the part of UNP ministers who held key ministerial portfolios that ran the country. Now, the UNP, of course, is the single largest political party in Sri Lanka. It is vital for democracy. It has had its highs and lows, and at one point it had a 5/6 majority in Parliament. This was under President J.R. Jayawardena. But take into consideration the recent past, what has happened over the past 24 years under current Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. How has the UNP fared? 30 election defeats, 30 times being rejected by the general public of this country. Who or what caused the United National Party to fall to such a level? We have been talking about this for quite some time. Let's listen to the views of the public, the rank and file of the United National Party. Let's hear what they had to say and what their opinion is on this.
Ranil boasts he won the power of the villagers. The people in the villages are those who eat rice. He said he won the power of Colombo, but in Colombo the people eat cheese and butter. Ranil needs that type of people. The people who eat rice do not need Wi-Fi. Those are things required by people in Colombo. The people who eat rice want Ranil to go home. Ranil must go home. The next level leadership must be allowed to rise. If not, the party will fade away and the country will lose an opposition. The Prime Minister does not understand the grievances of the people. The Prime Minister's politics is the people at Cinnamon Gardens. We cannot walk about in the villages. It is with the greatest difficulty we elected this government, but they have failed to secure it. They entered into deals with the rogues. That is why we want him to leave the post and hand it over to a person who will work.
The supporters blame us. They want to know what we did at this election. We are speechless. You said you will arrest the rogues. Did you do so? No. We are the ones who have been blamed by the party supporters.
I worked in the UNP working committee for 17 years until the term of the late Premadasa. What has Ranil done? The party has suffered defeat after defeat, and this time it suffered the most humiliating defeat. The people voted for the flower bud that made its mark recently. The party is now in a state it can never rise again. Since 1965, I paid 20 rupees annually to renew my membership. I have those membership cards with me. When they came to power, they promised us jobs. We are yet to be given jobs. The party leadership must leave if the United National Party is to be protected and developed. Ranil Wickremesinghe is ruining the United National Party. The party was at a great level during the time of D.S. Senanayake, Dudley Senanayake and J.R. Jayawardena. This man ruined it all. The farmers are put into humiliation and ruined. The farmers were moved to Colombo for concrete work. They were made labourers. Ranil Wickremesinghe, you stayed long enough in this position. He does not have an issue. He can even become the opposition leader. We cannot walk in the streets with defeat. Dear Prime Minister, we are pleading from you. Please hand over the leadership to someone else and leave.
You heard one organizer telling us that the general public were blaming them for the inactions of the current government. Now we too have come under some form of criticism, especially on social media, by a small group of people with vested interests. Let's keep that aside. What we are doing here is we are standing with the people. We stand by the truth and we stand by the facts and figures that we are going to bring you, and we have brought you for all this time period. Now when the bond scam took place, we had to explain it with each and every minute detail that happened. We had to explain it because the issue was a complicated one. However, this does not need complicated explanations. This is very simple. The people, it seems, have totally understand what is going on. In the run-up to the 2015 presidential election, we heard politicians shouting from stage to stage that they will catch the rogues, catch the murderers whom they accused, bring them before the justice, bring them before the law, and take action to even bring back some of the money that they had stolen. But what has happened today? The United National Party held key ministerial portfolios in this country, and they could have easily accomplished this promise. They could have easily fulfilled the promises that they made during these campaign periods. But instead of doing that, they worked to further their own agendas and virtually handed the election victory on a silver platter to the thieves, rogues and murderers that they wanted to throw out of power back in 2015. In case you have forgotten, here is a glimpse of what the politicians shouted from stage to stage during the campaign trail and soon after the campaign trail back in 2015.
ඒත් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපති උමනා වුණේ රට දියුණු කරන්න නෙමෙයි රජ වෙන්න. ඉතින් විශාල ප්‍රශ්නයක් අද මේ රටේ තියෙන්නේ. මේ රටේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය කියනවාද ඒකාධිපතිවාදය ඇති කරනවාද කියලා. අපි ආපහු එකද වෙනසක් කරන්න ඕනේ. ජනතාව දුප්පත් රාජපක්ෂ රජිමේ පොසත්. ඒක ගෙනියන්න තව අවුරුදු 5ක් ඉල්ලන්නේ. තමන්ගේ බලය වැඩි කරගන්න, තමන්ගේ ධනෙ වැඩි කරගන්න, ජනතාව තවත් දුප්පත් කරවන්න.
කම්මලට ආයෝජනය කළා තියෙන මේ සමාගමේ හෝ ඒ අනුකරුන්ට මේ ආණ්ඩුවේම ඇමතිවරු විශේෂයෙන්ම රංජන් රාමනායක නියෝජ්‍ය මණ්ඩලය දැන් චෝදනා කළා ඔහු ගාව තියෙන්නේ මේ රාජපක්ෂ ආණ්ඩුවේ සල්ලි කියලා. ඒතකොට දැන් ආණ්ඩුව ඒ පුද්ගලවලව තමයි මේ කොරණ කම්මල ආරම්භ කරලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ චෝදනාව තාමත් වළංගුනේ නැත්තම්
It is valid. Aloysius also has money. He was with Namal Rajapaksa until dawn on the 8th. Who deposited money in the Dubai banks? Who was posted in the Dubai bank at that time?
Let's pick up from where Dr. Rajita Senaratne left off. Shocking revelations made during the campaign trail. The politicians said there were bank accounts in Dubai with millions of public money that was stolen, stashed away in Dubai. They said, they vowed that they would work together with the authorities in these countries to bring back this money and create a better economy for the people of Sri Lanka. They claimed that there was an individual who was the front man who was behind all this money. People like Dr. Rajita Senaratne claimed that this gentleman was Mr. Nandana Lokuvithana. Now, the question is, has Nandana Lokuvithana been brought before the law? Well, he is certainly in the country, and he was brought before something else. What? Well, if you may recall, it was Ranil Wickremesinghe and Minister Malik Samaravikrama who worked to bring down Nandana Lokuvithana and grant him a factory, a BOI project to create a tyre factory in Horana. And then just before the local government elections, they went together with Nandana Lokuvithana to inspect the work on this tyre factory in Horana as well. So you can see the connections that are forming. That's not all. If you recall, the former mayor of Kotte, Janaka Ranawaka, claimed that Minister Malik Samaravikrama had ties to a certain plot of land in Kotte, which was being occupied through a company called Speville Lanka Private Limited. Now, Mr. Malik Samaravikrama has been in and out of the director board of Speville Lanka for quite some time. Now, who is on the board of directors? It is none other than Mr. Nandana Lokvithana himself. So you can see the connections that are forming. So the question is, who was the actual winner of the January 8th revolution? Was it President Maithripala Sirisena? Was it Ranil Wickremesinghe? Was it the UNP? Or was it people like Nandana Lokvithana who had plenty to gain through the revolution of the people? Now, can you remember the fuss that was made about avant-garde? The investigations conducted by the police revealed floating armories, they revealed caches of weapons with no serial numbers, and politicians during the campaign trail claimed that there was millions lost to the government because of the actions of avant-garde. You might also recall that there were special training programs for people called sea marshals at STF camps in Sri Lanka. Now, these are all claims that were made by the politicians who are currently in power. They said that these individuals would be brought before the law and that they would be punished. However, what has happened? Now, when you find illegal weapons, you could easily take action under the weapons ordinance. However, instead of doing that, action has been taken against people connected to the avant-garde issue under money laundering. So you can see who is stalling who. Who is stalling these investigations? Well, we also saw people like Minister Tilak Marapana resigning from his post during the course of these avant-garde investigations. We saw people like Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa being linked to these avant-garde investigations. What happened in the end? Well, in the end, the people that they claimed were thieves and rogues are now suing the very government that tried to put them behind bars. So it really seems that nothing has happened. Remember the Sirliya Savi account? Remember how investigations were launched into it and how police wanted to take a statement from the former First Lady, Shiranti Rajapaksa? Do you also remember how, on the instructions of higher-ups in the government, the police had to go to former Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa's house in order to obtain the statement? And from the reports that we are getting, that there were plenty of Rajapaksa supporters gathered at this house when the former First Lady was giving this statement to the police. Imagine the intimidation, imagine the pressure that these police officers would have had to go through because of the actions of a few people. Who can forget the MiG deal? They said millions had been lost to the government through the purchase of MiG aircraft for the Sri Lanka Air Force. There was one person who was highlighted and whose name was clearly linked to this MiG deal through the politicians. That was former Sri Lankan ambassador to Russia, Udayanga Weeratunga. Just before the elections, Minister of Law and Order Sagar Ratnayaka goes to Matra, his electorate, and he says proudly, "We have caught Udayanga Weeratunga," when he was being detained in Dubai. However, it's been a week after the local government elections, and the officers who were dispatched to bring him back to the country are coming back empty-handed, while the minister who made these claims lost the seat. Well, do you recall the FCID? Now, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, while in Parliament, said the FCID needs to be given powers to investigate, special powers to investigate, and these powers were granted. However, there was one step that was added. There was something called the Anti-Corruption Secretariat that was set up to feed cases to the FCID. And under whom was this Anti-Corruption Secretariat set up? It was set up under the Prime Minister himself. Now the FCID exists, but the Anti-Corruption Secretariat no longer exists. All this comes back to what I said earlier. One word: inaction. It should not come as a surprise that the UNP under this particular leader has had a history of inaction. From helping the 65,000 UNP rank and file members who were prosecuted or who were targeted for political vengeance, to the expressions of despair by the rank and file of the UNP that are being ignored. This leadership of the UNP has a history of inaction. 24 years of leadership, 30 defeats. The numbers speak for themselves. Don't take it from us about the relationships that we just told you about. Here is Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Cabinet Minister Rajitha Senaratne revealing these connections themselves.
ඔබතුමාට හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා කතා කළාද?
ගිය සවුන්ද කතා කරා.
එමතුමා කිව්වා මේ ඔබතුමාට කතා කළා අගමැති ධූරෙන් ඉවත් වෙන්න එපා කියලා එතුමා කිව්වා කියලා. මේ ඊට පස්සේ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා කිව්වා එහෙම ඒක බොරුවක් කියලා ඔබතුමාට ඒක තහවුරු කරන්න පුළුවන් එහෙම කතා කළාද?
මට සවුන්ද කතා කරා. එතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ
He spoke to me on Monday. He was in Parliament and wanted to speak about some matter. Then he said he heard a rumor I was about to resign. I said there is no need to do so. I said I am in office, working as usual. He spoke a bit and then I continued with my work. At the meeting with the President yesterday, the Prime Minister said Mahinda Rajapaksa called him and asked why he is resigning from his position. He said he has a good voter percentage, so why do you need to resign? He had told you do not need to resign just because someone says so. The Prime Minister does not need to resign just because of a cabinet reshuffle.
That's it from the News First newsroom. I'm Ravi Shirugal Bandara. We're going for a short commercial break, but after this, more news follows.
Now, students at the Uda Aparaka Primary School in Mathura engaged in their studies without even basic access to basic infrastructure facilities. Today, the Gamma the Vada Dahasa program changed the lives of these students forever.
Around 100 students receive their education at the Uda Aparaka Primary School in Mathura amid several hardships they face on a daily basis. A lack of access to clean drinking water and the lack of proper infrastructure facilities are among the key issues faced by the students. The EMW Jayasuriya Memorial Foundation stepped forward to solve these issues faced by the students, joining hands with the Gammadda Vedadahasak program. President of the Eisenhower Fellowship, George Delama, Mrs. Delama and senior officers of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited were among those present. The Eisenhower Fellowships inspire leaders around the world to challenge themselves to envision how they can effect positive change.
You have opened your hearts to us, and we will always be grateful. All of you, your story is not written. Your story is before you, still to tell. I'm thrilled, really and honored to be here. And again, Gamada, heart of the village, thank you for welcoming us into the heart of your village. You have touched our hearts forever.
There are people in Jayawardhanapura who promote various statements and take money from us. They have no time to serve us. I am not speaking about politics, but that is the truth. They earn for their future generations. But who speaks against that? In such a situation, Sivasa is important to us. Sivasa gives meaning to the statement, don't curse the darkness, light a candle. They cannot steal the sun because it is too far away. Drinking water and infrastructure are the main issues we face. When I took measures to inform the top about this, the parents took the initiative to inform Sirasa Gammadda about it, because they have touched the hearts of the people.
At the conclusion of his first visit as United Kingdom's Prime Minister's trade envoy to Sri Lanka, British parliamentarian Ranil Jayawardena spoke exclusively to News First on the future of trade relations post-Brexit with Great Britain.
Now, you've referenced Brexit. We are leaving the European Union, and so we must make sure, for the sake of Sri Lankan businesses and many others, that we have a positive relationship with the EU. We certainly don't want to fetter our ability to have positive, deepened relationships with countries around the world. The Prime Minister's made it very clear that she wants to make sure that we do have the ability to agree our own free trade agreements. But right now, we're focused on rolling over the existing deals, which makes sure that Sri Lanka has excellent access to our market under the comparable GSP+. You know, in terms of British businesses doing more here, there needs to be the opportunity for British businesses to find the places to invest, have confidence that the system isn't going to oscillate all the time, and there's going to be a clear set of pro-business policies that allow businesses internationally to invest, knowing that they can be here for the long run. The important thing is that the Sri Lankan government's continued to honour its commitments, and the President's made very clear statements here that he wants to continue that push to reduce corruption in the system wherever it's found to exist. And that's an important statement of intent. It's a matter for the Sri Lankan government to go and do that. All I will say is British businesses will always adhere to the highest standards and will obey UK law in the way that they operate in the UK and internationally.
Well, on that note, we wrap this edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for stopping by. More news follows on our website, www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Joel Outscoon. Have yourself a great evening ahead. Take care.